You're at the water cooler because, hey, we're back in the office and people are having conversations about life decisions. Wait, we're going to have a kid, NFL season's coming up. Should I invest in Bitcoin? What stock should I buy? Maybe even, should we buy a house? Well, conversations over the last 12 to 16 months have just been about how hot the real estate market has been. And Fort Collins is no different. But recently, conversations have kind of shifted. There's a narrative that's been going out that maybe the housing market is turning, that it's cooling down, maybe even time for a possible crash. On YouTube, you can find tons and tons of information from, major pro buy, major pro crash, that the real estate market is going to do one or the other or anywhere in between. And that's what this video is going to talk to you guys about today, specifically to Fort Collins, Colorado. What's up, everybody? My name is Patrick Soukup with Soukup Real Estate Services here in Fort Collins, Colorado. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing if what you're looking at doing is learning everything Fort Collins: eating, sleeping, playing, working, the real estate market. And if at the end of the video you've enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up, comment, engage, maybe even share it. And as much as I like making these real estate videos for YouTube, we like more working with buyers, sellers, and investors for all their real estate needs for everything here in Northern Colorado. So give me a call, text, email, whatever it is, I've got your back. Without any further delay, let's jump into today's video, the housing market update and predictions moving forward. Enjoy. All right, so yeah, I would have to say that comparatively to the last 12 to 16 months, really we couldn't get any hotter of a real estate market. So when you're at the absolute peak, the only way to go is either if it's plateaued or maybe go down. And maybe it's not even at a peak. That's probably a bad terminology considering I don't necessarily see us falling by any means, but when you're as hot as you possibly can be, the only thing you can really do is cool down a little bit. And that's what Fort Collins has done. Now, historically speaking, Fort Collins is a cyclical market like many. Our listings increase up until and through September and then begin to decrease and decline with it bottoming out in December and January. So we're getting to the end of the spring, summer selling season and coming into our fall cooling off period. So historically speaking, we're kind of doing what is been expected. But at the end of 2020 last year, as we were entering this cool down season, we just didn't see that. Inventory just kept going lower and lower, and the buyer demand was there, and people were having multiple offer situations and having to go potentially above list. So coming into this fall season, this cooling off period, into our our fall slowdown, what was there to be expected with how hot the market's been? Well, Fort Collins has definitely cooled down a little bit. And now there could be just the perpetual optimist in me speaking because, when I say cool down, I'm seeing inventory pop up a little bit to maybe just under a month of inventory, when historically speaking, 6 months is a healthy market. And days on market have increased 10% from 35 days to 38 days. Still phenomenally fast houses are moving. When you talk about when a house goes onto the market to when it closes is how we calculate. And usually a contract period is anywhere from 30 to 45 days. So when you're only on the market for 38 days, that's pretty much saying within 5 to 7 days, you're going under contract. And then from there, the one thing I have seen substantially so that has kind of told me that maybe a little bit of cooling and a more discerning buyer is amongst us right now is price changes. Through the month of June 11th to July 12th, we saw about 55 single-family residential homes having a price reduction. Well, in the last month, we had about 85 to 90 houses have a price reduction. So about 60% increase in reductions. And they're relatively decent. We're about $15,000 or about a 3% reduction when your median price list price is around $520,000, $530,000. So that would, to me, state that we are definitely seeing a seller who is feeling that there was this extremely hot market. They went onto the market at maybe this astronomical price and they didn't get it. So they did a price reduction within the first 5 to 15 days. And from there, it was a 3% reduction. So they went down $15,000 to try to garner that excitement from the market. So I would have to say that, to me, coupled with the conversations that I'm having with listing agents, actually having conversations, it's amazing. It's one thing that I definitely talked to my clients about when I was having frustrations with them and when we were buying houses over the last 3 to 6 months when the market was really at its hottest, of I can't even get a conversation back from the listing agent or a one-word answer. And now I'm getting, hey, yeah, and if you've got any more questions, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some really good listing agents that had conversations with everybody. They understood the power that they really held and knew that this was a time that they can shine as far as an advocate for their client, but also a professional in our industry. Now, there was definitely some that felt like they were walking on water. So having those conversations increase and actually being reached out to from sellers has been a little bit of a shift. Now, these are small shifts. We're not talking a price reduction. We're not talking a price plateau. Still, houses are coming onto the market at an increased value. But all that being said, there's little pieces that are showing signs of cooling, and it's so welcome. Another thing that I'm seeing is, rather than having 5 to 8 offers per contract that I've been told, and I've offered on a lot of properties with a lot of clients this year, so I've had many conversations with listing agents. But one of the things that I would continuously be told is how many offers they would have or end up having. And it was anywhere between, depending on upon the price point, but if we're talking about median price here in Fort Collins, we'd have about 5 to 8 offers. Well, as of the last couple weeks, I'm seeing closer to 2 to 3 offers. And yes, so we're still in a multiple offer situation, but just not as many. And again, that's welcome. I feel like I can compete against 2 to 3 offers while maintaining my client's financial integrity. So those are just some small signs of how the real estate market here in Fort Collins is acting and responding, and little things like boots on the ground conversations that I'm having. Now, interest rates are, again, historically low. 15-year, I'm actually doing a refinance and got quoted 2.25%. And a buddy of mine actually got quoted 1.85%. And maybe I should do some shopping, but honestly, I work with a lender that I am very comfortable with, that has all of my financials and is very fast moving for me. So, and I'm gonna stay loyal to him. So that way I'm gonna go ahead and move forward with this refinance at 2.25% for a 15-year fixed loan. Now, I'm also refinancing an investment property of mine, a 30-year fixed interest rate of 3.825%. Now, investment properties are always a little bit higher. So I would expect anywhere from a 3.25 to 3.3% interest rate for a homeowner would be very attainable right now. So still, historically low interest rates and makes your affordability of your monthly mortgage attainable. That's kind of a high level market overview of what Fort Collins is doing. Our price reductions have increased by 60%. Inventory has perched up a little bit. Days on market up 10%. Prices, pretty much stagnant right now. Now, sorry, and I did miss this one. And this is something that is super exciting, because going into offers over the last 3 to 4 months, all I had to work with was historical information, which is always 30 to 45 days old. And I could tell my clients, hey, we can expect anywhere between a 3 to 5% increase from list price to purchase price, depending on how strong of interest this house has been engaging. Now, again, houses could go between 10 and 20% above, or you could get them for list price. And I got a few of those at list price, and it was awesome. I felt phenomenal. Well, for the week of 7/12 to 7/19, houses averaged 4.3% above list to close 4.3%. Well, this last week, up until August 10th, so August 3rd to August 10th, houses were going on average only 1.05% above list price. Now again, all of these things are telling you that the market is still incredibly hot, but it's just not as hot redlining as it was even just 1 month ago. And looking forward, we can kind of see some things that maybe people have discussed about a market softening or what's going to happen in the future, specifically this Delta variant, the CDC eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance that you can no longer take beginning September 30th, and, well, new construction. A lot of these different things are topic of discussion moving forward. And I can tell you that the Delta variant, I have no clue. Talking to a lot of restaurateurs and people who own businesses, and it's definitely a fear of theirs of being max capacity of 50%. And what does that do to the business again? Unemployment expiring and people having to go back and get jobs. Inflation, these are all topics of conversation that all could have, impacts on the real estate market and the economy in general. Some negative, positive, and it's just a matter of how we foresee it. Now, the mortgage forbearance that's expiring September 30th, when we say expires, what we are talking about is that people can no longer take forbearance for up to 6 months beginning September 30th. That means anywhere from now until September 30th, if you're in a situation financially that you need to take mortgage forbearance, you can still do it. And anywhere from 180 days to 360 days if you take the extended forbearance. So when we talk about it expiring, we're not going to have this huge wave of properties hit the market, but instead, we've had people starting to take forbearance from last year moving forward. So those are going to kind of be a rolling sale. And because people have so much equity in their homes, 25%, anybody, even if they took mortgage forbearance and they had a $500,000 house, well, this year it's going to be worth $625,000 for a 25% increase. So they actually have made $125,000 over the last year, even if they didn't pay a single penny of their mortgage. So when that time comes that maybe they just can't afford their mortgage anymore, or they have to sell because they haven't gotten a job or haven't gotten a high enough paying job to afford their mortgage, and their mortgage forbearance period's coming, well, they're going to be able to sell their house, not have to foreclose, not have to do a short sale, but in fact, sell their house, probably make $120,000, $100,000 to $150,000 and walk away and go rent for 5 years or whatever it is with that extra $150,000 of cash. Now, that will probably increase inventory, as will this eviction moratorium, which I really don't expect it to expire October 3rd. They've extended this thing time and time and time again. And with the Delta variant, I just foresee it being extended again. But hypothetically speaking, if it does actually expire October 3rd, yes, there could be an opportunity where lots of renters are, either being evicted or owners are now going to be selling their properties, and renters wouldn't necessarily be able to rent, might not be able to buy. And so this changing of hands of these investment properties going onto the market. Yes, that could increase volume of inventory, but that's a matter of are they going to go through the eviction process? How long will the eviction process take? Right now, it could take anywhere from 30 to 60 days here in Northern Colorado. I've heard in California, the courts are going to be backed up 6 months to a year. So, and the process is already about a 6-month process. So you're talking about a year to 18 months before a lot of properties begin to be evicted and then turned over and sold. So here in Fort Collins, Northern Colorado, yeah, I'd expect a 30 to 60 day eviction period, depending on how backed up the courts get, if in fact that October 3rd moratorium does expire. Now, the Delta variant, the inflation, unemployment expiring, these are all different things too, that if inflation continues to increase at the rate that it is, or if it's what they're calling transitory, well, that really will determine whether people can afford their mortgage, gas, groceries, different things, and might have to make life adjustments if so, or increase their pay. And that being said, here in Fort Collins, we have tons and tons of people moving into the market. So people with high paying jobs from Chicago, Boston, Florida, all over the place are bringing high paying jobs that they're still creating incomes from, across the nation really. and being able to afford here in Fort Collins. You would have people that can't necessarily afford here and maybe decide to go move somewhere else, pick up, sell, cash out, grab $150,000, $200,000 of their equity in their house and go move into a silver stream. So there could be some potential inventory that hits the market there, but Fort Collins in Northern Colorado is extremely highly desired to live in. So it's basic supply and demand. Even with all of this inventory coming onto the market, when you consider we are at 1 month of inventory, really less than 1 month of inventory, we need 3 to 6 times the amount of inventory to hit the market. And that's saying that there is not the additional demand or not the current pent up demand to be able to buy those properties that do come onto the market. So yes, I feel like the real estate market is cooling a bit. Really, that's the only thing that could happen in this situation. When you have as much demand as we have and as little supply, it's basic economics, it's just going to continue to increase prices. But hopefully with new construction, properties hitting the market, and whether it's the eviction moratorium that's expiring, mortgage forbearance, people cashing out, lots of different reasons, or maybe cooling of buyer demand as well. We're seeing historically low mortgage applications over the last, not historically, year-over-year lows for mortgage applications. Buyers are just exhausted about fighting. So yeah, there's a decrease in demand. So we're getting a little bit of an increase in supply, a little bit of decrease in demand, prices could stabilize. Honestly, all very welcomed situations from my standpoint. It's been exhausting working on some of these deals, anywhere from 7, 8, 9, 10 offers before going under contract, and feeling like you have to offer as is, appraisal gaps, waive your loan contingency, all these different things. Maybe those are going to start coming back into play to make it a safer transaction for the buyer. Hopefully this video has helped you guys. I don't do tons of market updates, but I felt like this was a topic at the water cooler that continues to be brought up. So I wanted to give you guys a boots on the ground kind of analysis of what I'm seeing personally, some of what the data is saying, some of the things that are coming down the pipeline so that you and yours can make good, educated decisions when it comes to Fort Collins in Northern Colorado. And if you guys are considering buying, selling, or investing here in Northern Colorado, please feel free to reach out, give me a call, text, email, whatever it is. I appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, guys, take care.